Welcome, Queens, to another episode. I have a special guest with me today. And not only is he a special guest, Johnny Jameson, he's a dear friend of mine. And Johnny is a transformation coach and master hypnotist. He's the author of How to Live Your Best Year Yet. He is the creator of Abc123 Newsletter. And his podcast, which is called The Mind Reinvention Show, is voted in the top 20 of the self-help podcast. So I'm honoured that you're on my podcast, Johnny. So welcome.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having me. Absolute pleasure to be here. And it's great to see you again. It's been some time.
It's been a while, so I'm glad we can have a catch up and get your knowledge captured in video at the same time.
Absolutely.
So we're going to go in with the quick 10 fire questions. Are you ready?
I'll have a quick sip of my coffee first, get energized.
I know, I have. I don't usually drink these things. Have you tried this Monster Energy before?
Packed full of sugar, isn't it?
No, it's got no sugar in it, and it's got all B vitamins in it, so I'm actually pleasantly surprised.
I was always just put off by them monsters. I thought they were packed full of sugar. And
this one is called the Ultra Fiesta, so this one's different to the others. So anyone listening, try it.
I'll give it a go. Well, I'm on just a hard coffee today.
I don't like coffee. I'm very disappointed. I don't like coffee.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
I thought you'd be into your lattes and whatever.
No, hot chocolates, but not coffee. Which brings me nicely on to question one, actually. What are three things you love?
Three things that I love. Football, I've got to say, or soccer to our friends over the pond. Hypnosis or meditation, personal growth, we'll label it under. And then family time, spending time with my beautiful wife, my beautiful son.
Oh, I love that. Number two, if you could only eat three foods for the rest of your life, what would they be?
That's such a hard question.
It is.
Pizza has got to be there for me. One of my favourite meals is called chicken and chorizo jambalaya, which is like a spicy tomatoey rice with chicken Cajun chorizo. So yeah, that would be number two. And number three, fish and chips. That's so unhealthy. I've labelled such unhealthy foods there.
The second one's okay.
Yeah, chicken and chorizo jambalaya is not too bad.
Well, all of it's okay.
If you make it with brown rice. But I'm going to say,
all of it's okay,
I should probably say something like salad.
Nah, one of mine would be pizza for sure, and then chocolate, obviously.
You see, I go through phases with chocolate. I've got a little bit of a sweet tooth, but I'm more savoury. I'm more of a savoury kind of guy.
Oh, you've answered one of my. Did I have that as one of your questions? Oh no, I didn't.
Sweet or savoury?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't for you, but now we know savoury. All right, number three. This is probably not as quick question, but it came through my intuition to ask you, so I'm going to ask you anyway. Number three, what was the worst moment of your life?
Oh, serving in Afghanistan. I've done one tour in Iraq and two tours in Afghanistan when I was in the British Army, and it would be the final tour of Afghanistan that I was on for sure. That was when I came home and was diagnosed with PTSD, and it was just, I lost some close friends. I lost my own mental capabilities, and especially with what's been going on in the news recently. It's just devastating for me to sit back and know how people suffered and how people out there are suffering at the moment, and just to watch that hard work crumble in as little as 2 weeks. I'd say that's by far the most challenging time that I've been through.
Well, I'm going to touch on that as well, Johnny, in a bit. So thank you for sharing already. And let's flip it, number four. And I think I know what this might be. The best moment of your life up to date so far.
Can I say two? Am I allowed to have two?
Yeah.
I'd say marrying my wife, Becca, and then the birth of my son, George.
Who isn't, well, how old is he now? He's quite still
nearly 6 months. He's nearly 6 months.
Wow.
He's doing so well. So proud of him. It's hard work. Don't get me wrong. It's really hard work in the beginning. But do you know what? We're at a stage now. We're getting so much back off him, and he's sleeping through the night, which is a massive thing for me and my wife. Getting them good hours of sleep.
Can you imagine?
But yeah, he's such a blessing. I love him to bits.
Oh, I can't wait to meet him.
Yeah, absolutely. When
Looks
you're next
like
in the
you.
UK, you'll have to come meet him.
I'd love to. All right, I'm very intrigued with your answer to the next one. Okay, would you rather do 10,000 chest to floor burpees or run a marathon?
10,000.
It's normally 1,000, but you would just smash them out in 10 minutes. So I
Oh,
changed
not at
yours.
the minute, not after lockdown and all the pizzas I've been eating. I'd rather run a marathon, and I'm not a big fan of running. You know, I do a lot of cycling, and you know, when I'm doing my CV, I'll get on the rower. I'll do anything other than running, really. But burpees are just horrendous. So yeah,
I remember when we first met and we went to Matt's gym. Shout out to Matt Collin at Reinvention Fitness.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Matt.
Big shout out to Matt. And then we were doing burpees to warm up, and I was a little bit egotistic. I was like, I'm a burpee queen. I love burpees. I still do for some reason. And then obviously you're a man, so you're stronger than me, but you were absolutely like a pocket rocket. And I was kind of looking at you like, I'm sorry, but who does burpees faster than me? And you were just like smashing them out. I remember that so well.
Yeah, but then I didn't do anything for the rest of the session. Then I was done.
Oh, I'm still going, so I might beat you this time.
Oh yeah, you would.
Number 6. What's the biggest life lesson you've learned so far?
Oh, that's a tough question.
Mm.
I think biggest life lesson is actually how much influence that we have over our own lives. I think since starting my own personal growth and transformation, I understand now just how important our self-talk is, you know, our self-esteem, you know, our beliefs about ourselves. So when I was in the depths of PTSD, you know, I'd gone from a confident person, you know, loving life, doing well in the army, progressing nicely, and you know, in the space of 6 months, it just crumbled apart. And a lot of it was the majority of it was, you know, was the images that I held in my mind. It was my self-talk about, you know, my self-worth essentially, and not feeling good enough. So I think that one of the biggest things I've learned, especially in the last sort of 10 years, is just how crucial it is how crucial self-love is, and self-compassion, and you know, monitoring or being mindful of your self-talk and your daily thoughts. So I'd say that's the biggest thing that I've learned.
Yeah, change your thoughts, change your life.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
So powerful. When I first heard that, when I first started my personal development journey, I was a bit angry at the statement. I was kind of like, well, that doesn't make sense to me. But as you delve more and more into the work, and then another orb has just gone past you, by the way, it was yellow this time. As we delve more and more into this work, we just understand clearly that we are the creators of our own life and destiny, and that all stems from what we think. Our mind is a tool to use to create what we want, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So I mean, I think the easiest sort of metaphor that I've taken from it is, you know, that your outer world is just purely a reflection of how you feel within, you know, and how you act, you know, at a deeper level of who you are. So it is, and I was always just, you know, I always enjoyed life, but I was just one of them people who just got carried along, you know, by the ideals of other people, really, you know, and wanting to impress other people, and just being led by my egoic mind, essentially, without actually realizing how detrimental that can be. So yeah, I think since I've been able to switch, you know, through the likes of hypnosis and meditation, since I've been able to switch who I am at that deepest level, and actually, you know, believe in myself and believe that I can get out there and help people, and you know, offer people transformations just from my own transformational experiences. I think that's really important, you know, that your outer world is merely a reflection of who you are at a deeper level.
So powerful that is. Number 7, what do you think happens when we die?
Oh, you see, I've been doing so much research into this recently. I love reading. I listen to a lot of audiobooks. I've just listened to an audiobook called After by Dr. Bruce Grayson. I think it's I hope I'm right with that, Dr. Bruce Grayson. And it's all about near-death experiences, basically. And they've got hundreds of thousands of cases, and with modern medicine how it is, there's a lot more people who have, for example, let's say had a heart attack and then been brought back, who have had these incredible experiences, and they all have the same sort of experience as well, sort of traveling through a tunnel, seeing a bright light, meeting past loved ones, and meeting these entities, and feeling love and getting a life review and what have you. So I was always brought up in a Christian family. So, I've always had that sort of religious sort of belief system from when I was younger, but I didn't practice Christianity or any type of religion for a long time. But since diving into meditation more deeply and doing self-hypnosis, I've had a lot more spiritual experiences, that connection with the metaphysical world. And I 100% believe now that there is a grand architect of the universe, a divine intelligence, God, whatever you want to label it. Just because of how perfect the universe is as well. With the rise of quantum physics, in the last 100 years, science has just excelled so much in the discovery of the quantum field or the universal field, and how everything is energy and information. And even, ourselves in the world, the material world that we see around us is actually just at a fundamental level, it is energy. And then the advancements in things like string theory, which is happening at the minute. And the talk of a holographic universe and what have you, and scientists saying, this is a real possibility. And then things like, I've been reading a lot about, I don't know if you've heard of the Human Genome Project, which is basically, the Human Genome Project it's like a 4-letter crypto code, which they've now found. It took over 30 years. And it basically, what it is, it's the design of the human body, the physical human body. So not like the immaterial, so not our thoughts and our feelings and what have you, but the physical side of the body, cells and being made up of atoms and cells and subatomic particles. And what they've found is basically, this code is how you design a human, and it's so perfect. There's no other explanation for me than a divine intelligence that's behind it. And there's also something called the Goldilocks effect, which is all about thermodynamics within the universe. And if it was just a little bit out, then we wouldn't have the universe that we've got today, and we wouldn't have life that we have today. So, the universe and actually the world is on a knife edge, and it's so perfect that for me, there can't be anything else or no other explanation than other than intelligent design.
Wow. It's so interesting. You've brought the words that stood out to me, because I'm reading a book at the moment that was sent to me as a present from, I call him my soul brother, from Pete Lancet. He's a hypnotist, actually. And he just randomly sent me this book. He said he felt called to do so. And it's called Breaking of the Dawn, the Palladians. So I'm a Palladian starseed. Okay. And it's talking about the DNA structure of humans being made up of so many DNA structures, but we can actually, I can't remember the exact number. We're like working off 5 at the moment, but if we want to, we can work off 12. And then I know if this is too woo-woo for the listeners, I'm sorry, I'll move on in a moment. But the light is purely information, what you've said. So if we can open ourselves up to this 12 DNA structure instead of 5, we can receive more artificial intelligence and more, I like to call it infinite love and intelligence, like goddess, like whatever the hell it is out there. I fully believe there's something. Oh yeah. We can start to collaborate more with that if we're willing, because the planet Earth is a free will universe. We get to choose. It's all free will. So I believe something happens when we die. And I also believe what we think happens will happen, because the power of our mind is always there, whether we have a physical body or not. This is my belief.
Yeah. I mean, I believe that they say in the Bible that we're made in the image of God. And I believe that we are all sort of individual branches of the vine, that is God, essentially. So I believe that, I believe that, we're working through different aspects of life. I've been doing a lot of reading about sort of reincarnation and what have you recently. And I don't know if you've seen a program on Netflix called Surviving Death. And that's all about near-death experience. So I think episode 1's all about near-death experiences. And honestly, you should watch it. It's a real eye-opener. One of the episodes is about reincarnation. and the stories on there are just absolutely mind-boggling. You know, you're like, God, how is this? Is like, it's got to be real. You know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, us being conscious beings, you never know. We might remember that the next life from now on. Maybe we've been unconscious of our lives so far, and then, you know, we've made it to the stage of humans, let's say, with our conscious awareness. So we're aware of who we are and what we want to do within the earth, on the earth or within the universe, and then we'll remember our lives from this point forward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I 100% believe that we're spiritual beings, you know.
Yeah. And anyone listening to this who doesn't know Johnny, I've known him for a while now, and Johnny is very scientific orientated. So he's not as, I mean, I'm totally woo-woo. I don't need to see it to believe it. I just go with my feeling. But Johnny is very like, I need to research this. It needs to be kind of almost proven. So just allow your mind to be open, because Johnny's speaking from that place of science, research, all of these things. Whereas I admit I just kind of just do whatever feels right and believe what feels right without any proof, if you like. But just allow your mind to open to this conversation. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I'm sort of mixed science and philosophy, really. And if anything, I think science can advance or can only advance, really, especially when it comes to the likes of quantum physics with that sort of philosophical viewpoint as well.
Yeah, we're made of stardust, basically.
Yeah. What science is really good at, you know, sometimes even just theoretically, is explaining how, but what science can't do is explain why, you know. So yes, you know, we might be able to explain how the universe was created, you know. Well, we can't explain it yet, because we can only get up to sort of 1 second before the Big Bang, I think it is. But then we can't obviously tell what's happened before that, or why the Big Bang happened, you know, or what was there before the Big Bang. So yeah, science can explain how, but it cannot explain why.
Oh my God, I love that. That is such a big kind of thing to just think about. Mind blowing, but just that is, I love what you just said there. All right, number 8. What are your top 3 values, Johnny?
Compassion. So that would be compassion as in self-compassion. So compassion for yourself, and then compassion towards other people. The second one would be appreciation, as in like appreciate, or gratitude, you could probably call it, you know, gratitude for who you are, where you've got to now, for the gratitude for the people in your life, gratitude that you've got a life, gratitude for the world around us. And, you know, especially in like the UK, we live in such a beautiful country. So whenever I go on a walk, I'm always trying to practice gratitude. Number 3. So what was my first one? Sorry.
Your first one was compassion.
Compassion, appreciation, or gratitude. And then I'll say confidence. I think it's really valuable being confident, or self-confident, because that was one thing that really struck me in regards to PTSD. I was always a really confident person, and then my confidence was just taken away from me, essentially. And I was living in fear, and I think so many people are held back by fear. I think, you know, the fear of failure, the fear of success even, or, you know, the fear of being judged by other people, the fear of stepping outside of your comfort zone, trying something new. You know, fear as a feeling and a thought, it holds so many people back. And the polar opposite of fear, you know, what destroys fear is confidence or self-confidence. So I'd say confidence.
Oh, I really love that one. Confidence is the sexiest thing you can wear.
Yeah.
Always.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I'd agree with that. So I'd say, yeah, compassion, gratitude, confidence.
And do you have a favorite, number 9? Do you have a favorite quote or mantra?
Oh, I think just the simplest one, which helped me out, was I'm worthy. You know, I'm worthy of great things.
Yeah, that is at the core of everything. So it kind of pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to things like self-esteem is so important. You know, self-esteem is like your self-beliefs, you know, basically your self-belief system. And one of the big ones, I think, for people is not feeling worthy of doing well, or not feeling worthy of being in a relationship, for example. So yeah, I think I am worthy of great things.
Have you read the book or listened to the book, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks?
I haven't, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, Rebecca recommended it to me, and when Rebecca recommends something to me and then actually sends me a link to do it now, I listen up because it means that it's incredible. And I'm so glad that because it's on my Audible, I had a credit anyway, and it is the most phenomenal book. One of the most amazing books I've ever read, and that is all about increasing our capacity to, number one, receive pleasure and happiness and success, and number two, to hold that and then raise, I mean, you know, the whole thermostat theory, to then raise your thermostat of love, abundance, and success. And when you said, when we've just had a bit of this conversation, you said people are fearful of success. That is so true. Even though it sounds silly, that is what holds a lot of people back, isn't it?
Oh, it is, yeah. I help a lot of clients through hypnotherapy with the fear of success. You know, because quite often as well, when people start to change who they are at that deeper level, success can come really quickly. When it comes really fast, you know, people don't know what to do. You know, all of a sudden they're making so much money, they don't know what to do with it. They don't know what investments to make, for example, you know, or again, people experience success. Let's say an author will experience success and then they'll start getting reviews, and there's always them people who will put people down, so they'll start getting them bad reviews. And a lot of people fear stuff like that. A lot of people fear that it's going to change their life from where it is now. And actually what that is their ego. So their ego will try and keep it does it because it thinks it's keeping you safe, but it'll try and keep you where you are because it believes you're safe where you are now. So, you know, that can drive, the ego can drive a lot of fear of success, because people will feel like, you know, people won't like them anymore if they're more successful, or, you know, it might affect their family life, for example. So yeah, it's a big one that holds people back, but it's one that you don't really think about.
Yeah, one of the questions I ask my clients when we first start the work together for Food and Body Freedom is, why might you not want self-love, food and body freedom, even though you do? And then they kind of first think, well, there's no reason why I wouldn't want it. Of course I do. But when they sit and journal that, all this shit comes up, like, okay, oh my God, if I loved myself, I don't want to be seen as the person who said, oh, she loves herself, which is obviously a conditioning response that we've had to actual self-love, which is false sense of self-love because it's not egotistic or arrogant. Or if I love my body the way it is and have food freedom, then I might take up too much space in the world and then shine my light too bright. And you start to uncover all these layers of, what kick do you get out of staying stuck? What's the secondary gain of actually being in the pain that you're in, that you say you don't want to be in? There's always a reason why we stay stuck, in quotes, where we are, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's like, it's just stepping outside of your comfort zone, which is the only place you can grow, is by being outside of your comfort zone. And like you say, you know, and I think another one as well, actually, just thinking about it, is people worry that they'll achieve that success and then lose it. So, for example, you know, you could lose. I've experienced this recently. You know, being quite trim, healthy before lockdown, my gym being shut, and then, you know, the birth of my son. It's been hard to train, and I have put pounds back on. So I think people do worry about that as well. Is they'll experience that success and then they could lose it.
So they won't even try because they'd rather not lose it. They'd rather just not try.
Yeah, so they don't want to experience that loss, essentially.
Oh, yes. And last question, even though we've covered so much value already, I'm so grateful you are here, but why did you say yes to coming and sharing your wisdom today?
Just because I love getting into conversations like this. You know, we've always had a good connection since we've known each other. I've always wanted to be on your podcast as well.
You are.
Yeah. So yeah, listen to your podcast. You know, you've had some amazing guests on before. And you do such an incredible job helping people. So yeah, just to get on and share my wisdom, really, and promote my book.
Exactly. Let's have no shameless plugs here, because
exactly. Yeah. You've got to be open and honest, haven't you?
People need your book in their life. So let's open the conversation with that then. So can you share a little bit about your background story, how you help people today, and then let's talk about your book first and foremost.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, I mean, I've already touched on it a little bit, but so I've been training in hypnotherapy. I've been, you know, practicing hypnotherapy for nearly a decade now. sort of meditation and hypnotherapy for nearly 10 years. And 10 years prior to that, I served in the British Army. And like I said before, I did numerous tours abroad. My final tour in Afghanistan was particularly difficult. And when I returned home, you know, I'd lost a few friends. The fighting was fierce. I know friends who experienced, you know, loss of limbs, life-changing injuries. And I, to be honest, I thought I'd come home unscathed, but you know, I was suffering mentally, as so many people do. And I was actually, I was the typical male, which I think is quite common, in the fact that it's just that man up and get on mentality, you know. So I just buried everything, basically, you know, everything that I was imagining, everything that I was feeling was just buried deep down. And I turned to alcohol eventually, you know. I was an alcoholic, I've got to be honest, you know. I suffered from night terrors, so I struggled to sleep at night. And the only way I could sleep was to drink. So I did. I used to drink every night to get myself to sleep. And then I spiraled into a dark pit of despair, essentially. I was thinking negatively, which was making me feel negative. I was feeling negative, which was making me think negative. My relationships suffered with my partner at that time. My relationship fell apart. My family relationships were suffering, and I was so lucky to have my family and my close friends there. You know, I'm not in any denial that not everyone has got that. Not everyone's as lucky as me in that respect. That I had people there who loved me and wanted me to get through this. And it took some time, but eventually I did reach out for help. A good friend of mine was suffering with PTSD, so we used to be able to talk to each other about it, which did help a lot. I think the first step actually is being able to open up and talk, especially for men, because we're such buggers. It just holding everything in. You know, we've got to be the strong person, and we can't show any sign of weakness mentally or physically. So I think a big one for me was reaching out to start with. And then this friend who was suffering from PTSD had been through hypnotherapy, so he suggested it to me. And at the time, I was like, I was I used to think stuff like that was woo woo, like you mentioned earlier. And it took me some time to actually to book an appointment. I had very little money at the time. I had to leave the army at this point because I could barely function as a human being, let alone function as a soldier. So I'd left the army. I was in financial ruin, essentially. And I took what little money I had left and I booked a session with a hypnotherapist, just because my friend Tomo, who was suffering, it had such good results for him. So I booked a session with a hypnotherapist, and this was, 10 years ago now. And it was, sorry, my phone's ringing. Should have put it on.
Oh, I can't hear it.
So yeah, I booked a session with a hypnotherapist. Did not think it was going to work. Actually, she explained everything to me, because there's plenty of misconceptions about hypnotherapy, which I can explain in a little bit. And I was the ideal skeptic. And actually, after the first session, she gave me some tools to use: self-hypnosis, pattern interrupt techniques. And even after that first session, I always remember sleeping so well that night. And that was such a big thing for me at that time, was being able to sleep, and being able to sleep without having to have an alcoholic drink. So I was like, okay, so I started to open my mind up to it a little bit more. And I had 5 sessions in total with her, and my transformation after that was so incredible that, my feelings, my thoughts on a daily basis had just completely transformed. And I couldn't believe that had happened in that short space of time with holistic therapy, essentially. So I studied more and more into hypnotherapy, and then got to a stage where I could go for another job. I was functioning well again. I was in a new relationship by this time. My family life was a lot better. So I went for a job, which I did not think I was going to get, as a business strategist at a major, I won't say names, but a major engine manufacturing company. And I got the job and absolutely loved it. And then from there, I was like, started to do a little bit more self-hypnosis and meditation, and actually start looking into more of the spiritual side of it. And from there, I really started listening to my intuition and being guided by my intuition. And I was getting this sort of nudge, about your life purpose. What do you really want to do, Johnny? What do you want to do? And I did want to help people. I wanted to help people who were in a position that I was in previously, who were struggling, who were stuck. to either move them onto their next stage, you know, or help them overcome a specific limiting belief or a detrimental habit, or help them to achieve their goals. So I got trained in hypnotherapy. I'm trained in positive psychology, and I'm also trained in mindfulness. And that's what I do now. So I predominantly work with hypnotherapy clients, but then I always chuck in positive psychology and mindfulness as well. So and things like pattern interrupt techniques, which help me so well to break negative cycles of thinking and feeling. So that's what I do nowadays, and it all stems from, you know, I honestly believe that challenges. The only reason we have challenges in life is so that we can grow mentally, physically, and emotionally. And that was a major challenge for me. And it still is, you know, I still suffer from PTSD. I will for the rest of my life. So it's just having ways to manage that. And that was, you know, it completely, I think embarking in my own personal growth has helped me be able to help others, you know, with their own either physical, emotional, or mental development. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So how and why do you think, so those that are listening, you had such a radical transformation in such a short space of time through hypnosis. I love the fact that you were very skeptical to begin with, because
massively,
because some people, and I've heard this, and I don't know how right or wrong it is, I guess there is no right or wrong, that if you believe something will work, then it will, you know, the whole what's those pills that are fake pills? Placebo, yeah. The whole placebo. But for saying that you went in there really thinking it wasn't going to work for you, but you had a transformation already. Mm-hmm. How does hypnotherapy work for those that don't know?
Yeah, so the main reason that skepticism comes, it only stems from your conscious aspect of mind. So if you think of your mental capabilities, you've got a conscious part of your mind, you've got a subconscious, and then you've got superconscious. But we'll just deal with the conscious and the subconscious. So I want you to think of, if you think of your mind as being like a garden, and you is the conscious gardener, so you can choose what you want to plant into the rich bed of soil that's in this garden, and that rich bed of soil is your subconscious mind. So you can choose what seeds you want to sow into this rich bed of soil. So your conscious aspect of mind actually only accounts for 5% of your mental capabilities. Wow. And your conscious mind is your rational, overthinking mind. It's your egoic mind. It's your connection to the outer world reality. And your subconscious and willpower is also part of the conscious mind. And your subconscious is actually what's in control of your habits, your behaviors, your beliefs about yourself, your ideals, you know, your goals, your creativity, your intuition. That's all housed or all part of your subconscious mind. And what we do in hypnotherapy is we bypass the critical conscious mind. So we bypass that by quieting the mind, you know, relaxing the mind, relaxing the body. And that's basically all the hypnotic state is relaxing the mind, relaxing the body. It's like a deep meditative state. And by doing that, we move people down brain waves. So do you want me to explain a little bit about that?
Yeah, because I get them all muddled up the wrong way.
Yeah, so we've got 4 brain waves. So we're now having this conversation connected to the outer world. We are using our conscious mind. We are in the beta brain wave. When you start getting a little bit more relaxed and you move into like a light meditative state or a light hypnotic state, and that's called the alpha. So you move from beta into alpha. So for example, you'll move into alpha when you're relaxing on the sofa watching TV. So when you're focusing on a specific thing, like reading a book, you will drop into a light hypnotic state because you've moved your attention from the outside world and you're focusing on one specific thing. And what happens is your brain moves from the beta brainwave frequency to the alpha, and you're actually more suggestible when you move into that alpha. And you see, advertisers know this on the television. So they'll know that you'll slip into a slight hypnotic state when you're watching TV. So when you're watching your favorite program and then the adverts come on, you know, you're just sort of focused on that advert, and their suggestions are more likely to be imprinted onto your subconscious. And that's exactly what we do in hypnotherapy. So we take you into a light hypnotic state, and then we'll move you into the deeper hypnotic state. And the deep meditative, deep hypnotic state is where the brain and body is even more relaxed. And that's called the theta. So your mind will move into the theta brainwave. And that's where the conscious mind has been completely removed. And your suggestions or your self-suggestions, auto-suggestion, or the suggestion from the hypnotherapist can be implanted straight into your subconscious there. And that's how we can transform habits, people's beliefs. And that's why we can do it so quickly, because we've removed that critical faculty. Because, for example, when people practice affirmations and they do it in the beta brainwave, where the conscious mind is still there, rationally thinking, they'll say, I am worthy of great success, for example. But then straight away, their conscious mind says, I'm not.
It rejects it straight away.
Yeah, so there you go. Mine will just reject it. So it doesn't get implanted into the deeper level of who you are. It doesn't get implanted into your subconscious. Whereas in a hypnotic state, that's completely removed out the way. That rational thinking, that critical thinking. So your subconscious can take on the suggestions. And that's how hypnosis works. And it's, there's many misconceptions about hypnosis. People think that they're going to be out of control. And the main reason for the misconceptions is because stage shows, really, which is great for entertainment, and things like cartoons, and films as well. It puts the wrong idea into people's minds, because you're not out of control. If anything, you're more in control. So when you're in a hypnotic state, you're more in control of your thoughts and your feelings. Another time when you slip into a light hypnotic state is when you're driving. So if you've ever had that experience when you get in your car and you're driving somewhere and you're thinking about everything else other than driving, yet you still arrive at your destination.
And so you're like, how did I even get here?
Yeah. Or you don't drop out of that state until you've missed a turning or something like that. So you do drop in. So basically all hypnosis is relaxing the mind, relaxing the body, moving that critical aspect of mind out the way so that you can imprint new ideals into your subconscious.
Wow, that is so interesting.
Your subconscious will always deliver what you want, what you think, what it thinks that you want.
What image I had when you were so beautifully sharing that was, I imagine like two double doors, and then two bouncers like stood outside the double doors, which is your conscious mind. And then if you're saying an affirmation like, my body is beautiful, and the bouncers, aka your conscious mind, are like, absolutely not, we don't believe that, and then reject it.
I like that.
Whereas if you remove the bouncers and the doors are open, I am beautiful can go into your subconscious, then you're more likely to absorb it and believe that to be true. Is that right?
Absolutely. I like that. So your subconscious is like the VIP area.
Oh, yes, I love that.
Another way to think about it is, so your subconscious mind will, and you got to remember, your subconscious is 95% of your entire mental capability.
Wow.
So things like your beliefs and your habits, they're major drivers in being successful in any aspect of your life. So if you think of your subconscious mind as being like a vehicle in whatever goal you want, so let's say you want to lose weight. So you're in your vehicle, your subconscious mind at one end of the street, and your goal to lose weight is at the other end of the street. Well, your subconscious will always deliver you to your goal. But then you've got to think about the road in between as being your conscious mind. So, it could be a bumpy road. It could be a dirt track with cracks in it, which is negative thinking, negative feeling. Or, it can be a nice smooth journey. And what hypnosis does essentially is to smooth that journey out. So tarmac that road,
I love that analogy. I love that so much, because it's like when people come to me, their behaviors are binge eating, most likely when people come to me, and they've tried everything to, quote, stop binge eating. And then they may succeed for a few days, a few weeks, a few months on a so-called diet, and then they go back to what they used to do. And there's a lot of layers to what I teach, but all in all, if we're only looking at changing behaviors, that is not deep enough. We need to go to, well, what do you believe about your body? What do you believe about food being good or bad? Like, where have you learned all this from? Is that true? Let's release that. What the fuck do you want? And then they end up on that tarmac road, albeit, not gonna lie, it's not as smooth as just like smooth tarmac, because there's a lot of bumps in the road. But when they get clear on what they want and they go to the root core of where everything started, they then arrive at said goal of not necessarily, maybe weight loss, maybe not, but definitely at the natural set point weight that their body wants to be for when they're healthy, when they're nourishing themselves mentally, physically, emotionally. That's where they end up. So that was such a beautiful analogy to share.
Yeah, because I imagine, please correct me if I'm wrong, but binge eating is like, it is a habitual behavior. But then, like like you say, what has that behavior stemmed from? So, you need to go back. We do something called regression in hypnotherapy, where you can take people back to certain aspects of their life, which, because your subconscious also stores all your memory. So it's like, think of your subconscious as being like a massive data bank of information, but also your connection to the metaphysical, which is like, which we can talk about that in a little bit, maybe more sort of like intuition and guidance from a higher power, essentially. But yeah, your subconscious, it's like a computer system, basically, so it records everything. And sometimes your conscious mind, like, especially if I use my example of Afghanistan, my conscious mind chucked a lot of stuff out, but there was still them images, and the effects of that war were still affecting me at a deeper level. So it wasn't until I got into my subconscious and actually cleared them blockages that I was able to free that essentially from my being. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in regression hypnotherapy, what we can do is we can take people back to certain events in their life to find out where a certain behavior or a certain belief might have stemmed from, because most of our beliefs are created actually before we're 7 years of age. So our parents, our friends, our peers, our teachers, religions, and what have you, they create most of our hardened beliefs, and they do that before the age of 7. So it's really about what beliefs do we need to have as adults. We need to create our own beliefs as adults.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify for the listeners as well, binge eating and emotional eating are two separate things. However, a binge eater, when they eat emotionally, will go straight into binge eating. So emotional eating, in my professional opinion, is a habitual response to taking care of yourself. Oh, I'm feeling this feeling I don't want to feel, or I'm really happy, I want to feel happier, let's just turn to food because that's what my mum did, this is what people do, all the conditioning. Binge eating stems from restriction, whether that's physical. This is a biological response, binge eating is. So if you physically don't allow yourself to eat foods that you really want to eat, your body will take care of you by being like, oh, there's a famine coming, because there's restriction going on. I mean, how powerful the mind is. Even if you're sat there knee deep in cookie dough or Ben & Jerry's ice cream, and you're thinking, tomorrow I am going to diet, your body is so clever, the mind-body connection, it's thinking, right, tomorrow there's going to be no food, so I need to eat everything now, even if you're not like physically hungry. It's more of a biological drive. However, when someone turns to food for emotional comfort, it quickly turns into the binge eating response, because emotional eaters, when they make eating for comfort bad and wrong, it then turns into the Last Supper syndrome. You need to get it all in because tomorrow's going to be another restriction. So it does kind of intertwine, but it's never about the food, even though that's very ironic because people come to me with binging and emotional eating disorders. It's actually not about the food. The surface level byproduct of your life and your history and your condition and self-worth and self-love, the byproduct of all of that is the binge eating.
Yeah.
But it's not actually about that. So it's I love to get with a new client and actually discover where it's come from.
Yeah.
So I love all that.
Because a lot of the, let's say smokers. So I help a lot of people quit smoking, because that's obviously a habitual behavior. And please correct me if I'm wrong again, but the way I see it in my mind is, your subconscious always wants to do what's right for you. It wants you to thrive. It wants you to survive. So what happens with a smoker is there's 4 reasons I found why people will start smoking. Number 1 is because of peer pressure. And that's closely linked to number 2, which is to fit in with the crowd. Number 3 is to appear more adult. So a lot of people start when they're teenagers and they want to appear more, adult to their parents or their teachers or their friends. And another one is rebellion. So, for example, rebelling against teachers and friends and what have you. So what they'll do is they'll smoke that first cigarette, and your body tells you straight away, your subconscious, tells you straight away, this is not good. These toxins are not good. This nicotine is not good. And it tells you through coughing and feeling sick, maybe even actually being sick. But obviously, because people want to impress, so they'll smoke that second cigarette, or they want to be more adult, they'll smoke that third. And what actually they are doing there, they're tricking their subconscious into thinking that they need them toxins, they need that nicotine to survive. So whenever your nicotine levels or them toxin levels get low, your subconscious will send signals powerful ones, you know, cravings. So you're saying, look, your levels are low. You need more nicotine. You know, you need more of these toxins in your body. And I was wondering if like binge eating can be similar to that in a way where, you know, someone's gone through something emotionally and they're, you know, they found comfort in that food. So what they've done is, you know, they're starting to trick their subconscious into thinking that whenever they feel that way, they need that food, they need that sugar hit, for example, to actually make themselves feel better. Am I right in thinking that?
Absolutely spot on. And also, it's so ironic what's come up when you've been explaining that is because I started disordered eating when I was like 9 years old. That's when I went on my first diet. So it was so far back for me. I remember maybe one of the first times that I really ate past fullness, where my body was screaming at me like, hey girl, like seriously stop eating, you're full. But because I copied my mum, because she was starting a diet again tomorrow, and we had a Chinese, and then we went to the shop and got loads of chocolate. This is just what you do, because you eat to the point where you physically can't eat anymore, and then you start a diet tomorrow. So in that moment, and I'll give you an example of emotional eating as well, but in that moment for binge eating, I was completely ignoring my body's signals. I wanted to kind of just do what my mum was doing and copy her. So I trained myself that this is what you do before you diet the next day. Emotional eating, which I believe more people suffer with, to be fair, even those people that don't really have an issue with eating, we all eat emotionally. If you go to a birthday party and someone's got a cake, if you're not physically hungry, you'll probably still have the cake because it tastes nice and because it's a celebration. That's emotional eating. The amount of times I've force-fed myself, similar to the cigarette analogy. So when you first take the cigarette, your body's like, absolutely no. That's what my body did with alcohol. I don't drink, so I don't actually like it. So when I did taste it, my body was like, that's horrible. So for some reason, I don't know why, I was like, okay, I'm just not going to take it again. Whereas there's so many times where I've been having chocolate, ice cream, whatever the binge food was for me, and I don't want it, but I'm literally force feeding myself it. It's almost like you're trying to numb yourself, and you want to punish yourself at the same time, as well as because you're going to start a diet tomorrow. So there's a lot of things that come into it, but you've hit the nail on the head when you then train yourself. Every time. It's like when I used to do well, not even on a diet, because diets don't work, but when I used to nourish myself, go to the gym, take care of myself, which is what I do now. When I did that for a couple of months, because I didn't deal with my self-worth and self-love issue, my unconscious would be like, oh no, wait, you can't be this happy and healthy, so you need to now go and self-sabotage. So then I would self-sabotage my results, if you like, by then binge eating and emotional eating and force feeding myself to keep myself in that comfort zone, which actually wasn't very comfortable anyway.
So that's it, and that's where the likes of hypnotherapy can really help, because it can move that critical aspect out of the way, and then beliefs that have been created over your life or created by a certain event, and the habits that you've created throughout your life in regard to, let's say, binge eating, for example. You know, that's where you can really start to reprogram them, you know, and reprogram them in the most effective way. Because I mean, you can do it. And this is what I talk about this in my book as well. So they say that it takes 66 days to break a habit consciously, but most people won't stick it out that 66 days, because willpower is only part of your conscious mind. It means it's only temporary. So, you know, yes, you can do it without the likes of meditation, hypnotherapy, even like yoga and stuff like that. You can do it without that. You can do it through exercises, but it just takes longer, and you have to stick to it. You know, you have to do the exercises every day. Well, as research shows, for 66 days at least, on average. So yeah, you know, it can be done, but it's changing those subconscious ideals. You know, there might be other ways that are even more powerful, but from my own research and my own practice, I've found that hypnotherapy is the most powerful way to do it, or self-hypnosis.
It makes sense as well, the way you've described it so simply and beautifully, like with the seeds in the garden as well. Am I right in saying, like, if I came to you for a hypnotherapy session, for example, and I don't know, let's say I wanted to start exercise. I mean, this isn't obviously my example because I love exercise, but let's say for some reason I'm just not going to the gym, I'm not doing the things that I say I want to do, there's something blocking me. would you then, if you like, speaking of like a visualization,
Yeah,
be taking the seeds of wanting to exercise, having the desire to move my body, would you be then placing them in my unconscious mind whilst my conscious mind's out the way? So you're doing it for me, if you like.
exactly that. So let's say you're the gardener and your goals are, like you say, you want to train more, you want to eat healthier, let's say. So your goals, you've got them seeds. And what I do is the hypnotherapist, I make you a cup of tea as the gardener. I'll tell you to go sit down, put your feet up, have a cup of tea, and I'll plant them seeds into the rich bed of soil that's your subconscious. And then I'll also teach you techniques like self-hypnosis, pattern interrupt techniques, mindfulness, which is basically so that you can water them seeds that have already been planted.
Oh wow, I love this so much. Can we move on to visualization? So many of my listeners would have heard me speak about this before, and maybe they've done it for their own personal development. If we visualize something and create feeling and emotion with the visualization, is it true that our subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between our visualizing and actually what's in real life?
Yeah, absolutely. So your subconscious is our immaterial, metaphysical aspect of mind. It's our connection to the universal field of infinite information and energy. So, yeah, essentially, what you plant into your subconscious mind is, I've lost myself. What was the question?
The power of visualization.
Oh, visualization. Sorry. Yeah. Bloody hell, my mind just went then. I must be in too much of a Zen state.
That's it. At least you can see I was listening. I'm fully present with you.
Exactly. Yeah, I apologize about that. Do you ever get that sometimes?
All the time, Johnny.
I think it's because, like, being a hypnotherapist, I love speaking. And I think sometimes I just speak so much that I just like lose my trail of thought.
I do that all the time. And if I'm with a client and I'm like, oh my gosh, I absolutely need to ask her this, and I'm listening and holding space. And then when it comes to my turn to speak, I'm like, oh my God, it's just gone. God damn it.
Yeah. That doesn't show very good light for hypnotherapy, does it? It's meant to make you more focused and present in the moment.
You're also only human.
We're all human beings, exactly. So yeah, visualization. We spoke about how words are so powerful and how words, because words create feelings. So if I tell myself, bloody hell, Johnny, you've put some weight on recently, that automatically creates an image in my mind, and that automatically creates feelings from them words. And visualization is exactly the same. So if I visualize myself as putting on weight, then that's going to create words in my mind, and that's also going to imprint onto my subconscious. So visualizations is really powerful. And another good thing about visualization is you can go into a meditative state, a hypnotic state, and you can hold that picture in your mind, and you can harbor them feelings. And it's what's called anchoring in hypnosis. So you can anchor them feelings into your subconscious. So anytime that vision comes back into your mind's eye, into your conscious awareness, them feelings automatically come back to you as well. So it just raises your vibration every time you bring that image to your mind. But also, creative visualization is good because you can have that finished outcome in that finished image in your mind. So you always know where you're headed. You always, let's say if you do want to lose weight, you might visualize yourself looking in the mirror, looking trim, looking good, looking healthy, and then harbor them feelings that creates. And you can harbor them feelings, and you can use triggers to bring them back. So a lot of people, you might see them pressing their fingers together during the likes of meditation. And what they're doing there is actually harboring positive feelings. So anytime they do that trigger of pressing their 3 fingers together, that will automatically, that triggers a response from the subconscious, which brings them feelings back to them. So that's why visualization can be really powerful as well, because when you visualize something, you can really, especially in a deeper, when you're in an altered state of consciousness, when you're in a hypnotic state, a deeper level of mind, them feelings are even more powerful. So you can visualize that image, you can have that ideal outcome held in your mind, and then you can harbor positive feelings using anchors and triggers. But also I think it's, because there's the ebb and flow of life anyway. So, some days you're feeling really great about your goals, you're going to get there. And then other days you're like, oh God, this is shit. I'm not doing well here. I might as well chuck in the towel. And I think that's where visualization or holding an image of yourself achieving that final goal can be so powerful, because on them days where, you're in the ebb, you're feeling a bit down about yourself, you can just close your eyes for a few minutes, take yourself to a quiet spot, close your eyes for a few minutes, concentrate on your breath for a few minutes, breathing in, breathing out, and then just bring that vision back to your mind, and that will increase. We're all electromagnetic beings. That'll increase your vibration. That will increase the vibrations or the feelings, the energies that you're putting out there, and it'll also increase them vibrations internally. So your internal energy will be empowered, and you'll feel so much better just doing that simple exercise. It can take 2 or 3 minutes. If you're feeling a bit shitty about heading towards your goals, literally take yourself to somewhere you're not going to be disturbed. Close your eyes for a few minutes. Turn your attention from that outer world, the egoic world, to your inner world. Bring that visualization, that picture or that mental movie into your mind, and that can really bring them feelings back, that confidence, that worthiness that you need to actually achieve them goals. So visualization is incredibly powerful. It's the same as suggestions. So suggestions is words, visualizations, obviously images, and we use both of them in hypnotherapy. I think they say, is it words is poetry for the ear, images are poetry for the eyes.
Oh, I love that, because it's true, isn't it? The unconscious mind isn't words, that the language is symbols and pictures.
Yeah, so it works a lot on symbolism. That's why we use things like metaphors a lot as well during hypnotherapy, because the subconscious mind responds a lot. It connects a lot with stories and metaphors and images and direct suggestions. Yeah, and it depends with the person, So when I'm doing a client a strategy session, 20-minute strategy session at the start, it all depends on the person. So sometimes you need to take a bit more of a authoritative approach with people. Like I work with a lot of business people in regards to even confidence. They're really high working executives. I've worked with a couple of CEOs who are really high flyers essentially, but they're lacking confidence, they're lacking belief in their own abilities. I'm like, well, you've got to where you are, but they still suffer from that. So sometimes you do have to you have to, as a hypnotherapist, I have to decide what's going to work best for them. Is it going to be visualization? Is it going to be direct suggestion? Is it going to be a bit more of a passive approach or an authoritarian approach where I'm really, instructing their subconscious mind to make their changes? And obviously that comes with practice, and that comes with dealing with clients over time. But I've often found that most people will connect with and get the best results from a mixture of visualization and suggestion. Suggestion is basically, most people have probably heard of it as affirmations or mantras, but that's what suggestions are basically. It's an affirmation or a mantra.
How interesting. And that reminded me of, with my clients, some clients need some tough love, basically a loving kick up the arse for me to challenge them to what we spoke about and like, why aren't they doing what they should be doing? But then some clients need just complete and total compassion and love and holding that space for them. And as a coach, and as you are a coach as well as a hypnotist, it's up to us and our intuition and who we are to decide what that client needs at that time to get the best out of a client for what it is they say that they want to achieve when working with us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about being mindful in that moment and just being mindful with that client in that conversation, and not harboring any prejudgments or anything like that. Because it's said that our unconscious has already made a decision, I think 3 seconds before it even comes to our conscious awareness. So if we're judgmental at a subconscious level, or if we judge certain people because they look a certain way, for example, and you hold them feelings in your subconscious, then that's already made the decision of how you're going to feel about that person, 3 seconds before you're even consciously aware of it.
So it's crazy, because there's a few language things I've noticed. This isn't negative, because this is so natural in this world, about the word fat. You've not used the word fat, but when you've used the word like overweight, or you use the word fat to yourself about putting a bit of meat on over lockdown, in my opinion, you see that as a negative. And I'm not saying it is or it isn't, but it's only what we've made fat mean as a culture and as a society, because all fat is adipose tissue on your body. That's it. But we make fat mean bad, lazy, all the things, when it's actually just an organ like a kidney in a way.
Yeah. And actually, 200 years ago and before, being overweight was popular.
Exactly.
It showed that you had money.
Exactly. Yeah, so it's just questioning all of these things, and it doesn't help when society is complete opposite and is feeding to us every day in the media through advertisements, especially as you've shared when we're in the alpha. Did I get that right? The second one?
Alpha brainwave, yeah.
The
I didn't
alpha
say the
brainwave.
fourth, sorry. So beta, sorry to interrupt.
No,
Beta
fine.
is our outer world conscious awareness. That's that brainwave.
Yeah.
Alpha is slightly relaxed state. That's like a light meditative, light hypnotic state. That's when you drift into sleep. Theta, that's when you're really starting between sleep and wakefulness, which is like deep meditation, deep hypnotic state. And then delta, I missed out, sorry. Delta is the deep sleep. So that's where everything's shut down and your body is just, your subconscious is just free to heal your body.
Wow. I believe that when we're in the delta in sleep, we go and visit. And again, these are my beliefs. They're quite nice beliefs to have, though. We go to visit wherever we want to go and visit. And then sometimes when you remember a dream, I believe it's not what happened in the dream, it's how you feel, the emotion you wake up feeling has something to do with what you're manifesting in the future. So if you had a dream about, I don't know, spiders and you were scared of them, take a look at your life. What are you worried about or fearful about in your life right now? Because sometimes if we want to process something and our conscious mind doesn't want to because maybe it's too painful or maybe we're pushing it down, our unconscious mind has to process that and work it out. So that often happens in the dream state, whether we remember it or not. That's what I believe. Yeah,
there's a hypnotist called, he's passed away now, unfortunately, from, I think he was around in the 1930s, 1940s, called Jose Silva. And he's got the Silva Ultra Mind method, which is a really good book. And he does a lot about dream designing. So actually, first, a lot of people can't remember the dreams, but we all do dream every night. Apparently our health, mentally and physically, would, if we didn't dream, would be, seriously affected. So what he suggests doing, and it works, it really works, is asking you, saying, I'm going to dream about something tonight, I'm going to dream about this, or asking a question. And then as soon as you wake up, because you can lose it in seconds. So as soon as you wake up, have a pen and paper at your bedside table and write down what you remember. And the more and more you do that, the more you start to remember your dreams. And I've done it numerous times where I've asked certain questions before I've gone to sleep, or I've said, right, tonight I'm going to dream about what my book is going to be called. And I'll start getting answers. And when I wake up in the morning, I'll write everything down really quick before it's gone from my conscious awareness. And you can, dreaming's really powerful. And sorry, because I cut in before, you were talking about words and using the word fat and what have you.
I think we covered that. It's just interesting. We're not bothered about fat in a vacuum. We're bothered about what we make fat mean.
Yeah.
It's all about the beliefs, the conditioning. Society mirrors that back to us every day, everywhere we look. It's so ingrained in us. It's almost like in our DNA, as far as the work I do with women and myself. It's so freaking ingrained in us. But we also get to choose whether we allow that fear of judgment and constantly striving to be thinner. Like, is that really what we want to spend our whole lives doing?
Yeah,
I don't anymore.
It's had such a massive influence over it as well, hasn't it? I think I see my wife's friends' daughters, or my friends' children being so influenced by things on social media and using things like Photoshop and what have you. And I think what they fail to see is, these people might have a beautiful picture on social media, but you haven't seen the work that's been done to that photo, or you haven't seen the 200 takes that they had beforehand. So people only put their, like, what they believe is their perfect aspects of their lives on social media. And I know you do it, but I've stopped the scroll or what have you, so a lot of my social media posts, or I send them out on an automatic system. And then I only ever respond to comments and messages that I get there. So I limit the amount that I scroll on social media. Because again, just seeing them images, that unconsciously, especially if you're focusing on one thing, like scrolling through your phone, you can slip again into that lower brainwave, that more relaxed brainwave. So them images can get imprinted onto you. That's why adverts are so popular on social media now, because they know that people are falling into light hypnotic states, and their ideals, their suggestions are being imprinted onto who we are.
Yes. So fill your feed up, everyone listening, fill your feed up with people and things that inspire you. So we're not saying
positivity,
never look again, but fill your feed up with things that empower you, not that make you feel unworthy. Fill your feed, you get to decide.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the time, we literally have, I would say 10 minutes. I've got a call in 10 minutes. So I want to ask you, well, first of all, let's talk about your book, what it's about, where people can find that. Yeah. Are you taking on one-to-one clients, and how can people work with you? And then some words of wisdom that you'd like to leave our listeners with.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'll do is I'll send you over the links for the book. That'll probably be easiest. But yeah, you can buy it. It's called How to Live Your Best Year Yet. And it's a practical guide to create your ideal lifestyle with the mindset, the habits, and the beliefs to support it. So like we mentioned earlier, beliefs, habits, ideals, behaviors, attitudes are so important in regard to your life, and they're all held within your subconscious. And yes, hypnotherapy, dynamic meditation are the quickest ways to transform them. However, you can do it, as I mentioned, you can do it from a conscious aspect using exercises. And that's basically what this book is. So it's a list of lessons. It's actually 30 lessons. And I advise people do one lesson a day. So it'll take no more than 10 minutes out of the time. So 30 days to create their ideal lifestyle and to really imprint them beliefs, them and change them habits that they need to achieve any of their goals. And we also do, so we'll set goals at the start of the book, and we'll talk about, it's called Your Reason Why. So that's a real powerful driver, is to write down why you really want to achieve them goals, not materially, not because you want to impress Jim at work, why you really want to achieve them goals. So if you want to lose weight, you want to achieve that so you're healthy and you feel better about yourself. So we look at that, and then we talk about, attitudes and beliefs and what habits are going to get you to achieve them goals. And then the final module is all about setting yourself up, putting it all together and setting yourself up to live the best year of your life yet. And you can get it on.
Wait, I went on your website to get it, and I should get an email then, because I was on the wait list.
Yeah, so you can join the wait list on the website. That page has actually changed now to buy the book, or it should have if my Kajabi man has done his job. But also you can get it on Amazon. We're having the Audible is being recorded at the moment, and within the next 3 or 4 months there's going to be an online course version of it as well.
Ooh, so exciting!
So How to Live Your Best Year Yet is I've got I'm releasing a series of books called the Mind of Illumination series. In How to Live Your Best Year Yet is book number 1. Book number 2 I'm writing at the moment. I'm about halfway through. It's called Becoming Superconscious, and that's being released at the start of next year. Book number 3 is called Dynamic Psychology, and that's being released at the end of next year. So,
oh my God,
it's a good series, the Mind of Illumination series.
Wow.
You can get it at the likes of Goodreads. Search my name, Johnny Jameson, on Amazon, or How to Live Your Best Year Yet. I was going to call it Your Best Year Yet, but there's another book called that. So if you do search Your Best Year Yet, then you'll find a different book by Jenny Ditzler, I think she's called. But yeah, How to Live Your Best Year Yet.
Oh my God, that is so exciting, Johnny. And if people wanted to, obviously, buy his book, by the way, #shameless plug for Johnny. I'm going to buy it. I can't wait to read it. If someone wanted to also experience hypnotherapy from you, are you taking on one-to-one clients at the moment?
I am not at the moment, unfortunately. However, I will be very, very soon. It's just at the moment, it's just working on other little aspects of the business at the minute. So I've run 2 businesses. I've got Impact Hypnosis, which is my hypnotherapeutic business. And then I've got business Mind Reinvention. And that's all about mindfulness. And I deliver sort of mindfulness workshops to big businesses, into, healthcare facilities and educational facilities. So you can go to mindreinvention.com. You can click any of the buttons at mindreinvention.com, and it will tell you all about how you can use hypnosis. So there's a lot of information on there. You can request to book a call. So I am taking some calls at the moment in regards to, 20-minute strategy sessions. But a lot of my clients come by referrals. So I'm pretty booked up at the minute. So, it's about a 3-month wait list. So I'm I'm not actually taking any new clients on at the moment. But if people want information, what they can do is they can sign up. My newsletter is called the Abc123 Newsletter. And it's a brief chapter. It's released every Monday. It's a brief chapter discussing one topic with 2 actions to take away and 3 self-reflection questions to contemplate. So they can sign up to that, and I'm constantly emailing, other information about hypnotherapy and hypnotherapy services. So yeah, unfortunately, I've been concentrating on the books, and I've got clients filled out at the moment. However, they can join the wait list for hypnotherapy, but like I say, there's going to be about a 3-month wait list at the moment.
I'm sure it's worth the wait.
That's just honesty. Yeah, that's just being purely honest.
Yeah, and I'm on your mailing list, and I love reading your emails. I absolutely love the self-reflection questions that I always sit and allow myself to ponder. I've journaled a few as well, because sometimes I feel called to pick up a pen and paper and channel things. So if you are serious about changing your life, sign up for Johnny's news. I'll link everything below, of course.
I appreciate it.
And then you will get, is it every week you send them?
Every Monday, the newsletter is sent out, yeah. And if people want to follow me on Instagram, it's @mind_reinvention. And I'm always putting little snippets from the newsletter or from the book, and then like little personal pictures and stuff. I'm always putting them on Instagram, a little bit of like affirmations and what have you. So if they want to follow me on Instagram as a bit of inspiration throughout the week, then yeah, that's another option.
I love it. And if before we go, we've got 4 minutes, because I have a call in 4 minutes, is there any words of wisdom you'd like to leave our wonderful listeners with today?
Yeah, so I think we mentioned this earlier, like when we spoke about beliefs, and obviously, our beliefs are created from an early age, anything before 7, by our parents, our siblings, friends, peers, society. They impress their beliefs on us. And beliefs, your self-belief system, your self-esteem is incredibly important. And an empowered self-esteem is essential for living a joyful life. So I think the only beliefs that we should entertain are those that are self-encouraging. And it's just a reminder for your listeners to do that. So I encourage your listeners to do the same. As you and I deserve to be prosperous and happy and joyful. And we all naturally have the inner tools to achieve them as well. So we all naturally have the inner tools to achieve our goals. And it's just essential for people to remember that, you hold the power. You hold the power within. You don't need to look to the external world. You can change your own life by changing who you are at a deeper level. And to always remember that. It's important to remember that, especially during them challenging times.
Such great words, Johnny. Thank you so much for your time and your energy and your wisdom. And it's been great to catch up as well, personally, for me and you.
Amazing.
And I will link everything below for you guys, so you can just click and follow. And Johnny, I'll be in touch, of course, personally. I'll let you know when I'm going to release this, and much love to you. And thank you again.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Johnny.
See you later.
Bye.